Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Good
Good morning,
morning,
viewers,
morning.
and welcome
Good
back to the
morning.
Tobago Updates morning show coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. We just at about 7:29 a.m. this morning, and in this segment, we are speaking with Rohdill Kirk, and certainly no stranger to us here, Superintendent of the T.T.P.S. Some say the big man in the business. All right, and we're speaking updates from the T.T.P.S., and certainly we just celebrated International Men's Day, and we continue to look at that positive influence on our young men coming from the perspective of the T.T.P.S. Good morning to you and
Good
welcome.
morning, Julien, and good morning to your viewers throughout Trinidad and Tobago and the world.
All right, so we get started in terms of looking at general updates. Certainly, criminal activity and the challenges that face us from time to time makes its way to the forefront of our media space. Most recently, hearing about the incident in relation to Works Credit Union, among other things happening in this space. Where are we at as it relates to really getting a grip on the circumstances and also knowing realistically the season that we are now heading into? As I like to say, just as we are busy planning and preparing legitimately to get things that you need for the Christmas season, some are planning and preparing in not so legitimate ways to have themselves a good Christmas as well.
Exactly. What I want to say is that we are in the last quarter of the year, and as you rightly said, that we are about to embark upon the Christmas season, going into Carnival. So what we have done so far, we are now in the process where we have had our anti-crime plans. We are going to roll out that very soon. I think tomorrow evening we have one of our stakeholder meetings planned with the Scarborough Station Council at the Scarborough Station, and that is to discuss the way forward in terms of the Christmas season. In respect of crime updates, what we have seen recently, we have seen, yes, the robbery at the Works Credit Union. The quick response to the police, so far we have 2 suspects in custody, but the process doesn't stop there. The police are in the evidence gathering process at we speak, and it sometimes takes time, but the police are working on it to bring this matter to a solution. What we want to do is advise persons to be aware, to be self-aware coming up to this period, because we know people or criminals look for the slightest opportunity to pounce upon, unsuspected persons. In terms of persons going into the bank, you have to be aware. Persons going to a shop, you have to be aware. Look out for one another. Look at your vehicles. Look at how you handle cash transactions. Look at it. Because you don't know who is watching at this point in time. And as I rightly say, criminals look for that opportunity to pounce upon you. So we are going to roll out soon. I cannot give all the details as to what is going to take place, but we have our plans in place, and we are going to roll it out coming this week.
All right, based on where we are at now, in terms of the things like the murder toll and so on in Tobago, higher than normal. Is this receiving the kind of attention required to continue to reassure the population that you need not worry? I've heard persons in the news indicating we're getting to a point where we're getting like Trinidad. I mean, we might be saying it loosely, but concerns in terms of what appears to be rising challenges.
Well, we are not there yet, but what I want to say is that, yes, when you look at the comparative analysis, our murder is on par as to what happened last year. So we had 10 last year with a 70% detection. We have 10 this year with 3 detected, so we had 30%. Notwithstanding that, the others that are unsolved, we are still working on it. As I indicated before here, that a murder investigation is a complex one. So there are many things you need to put in place in order to bring it to that stage where you would seek advice. So it's not that it's been put aside or pushed aside. The officers are working hard in which to bring those murders to solution. In respect to the other serious crimes, although we are right now at a 4% decrease from where we were last year. It's not much to celebrate, but it's at least we are at a decrease. What I want to assure you is that the police are out there, in spite of all the challenges we face. We are out there trying to make this space a safe space. Our major crimes remain that of the break-ins and the larcenies. So we are urging people to secure items, because most of the items that are stolen are items that are just left about in a yard or somewhere, you know. The break-ins, well, those are what we have seen on the rise. We have seen that churches and schools are being targeted,
Yeah, that was my next area.
you know,
Yeah.
and that is something that we want to urge the persons who are in charge of these institutions to not to leave anything to attract. I know instances you see in they are going to the schools and they are breaking in offices and stealing cash that are kept on the school compound. I know there was an engagement with some of the stakeholders, and an arrangement was made in terms of treating with that going forward. But we are urging schools and churches not to leave cash on your compound, right? Because for some reason there are some criminal elements out there who see that as a soft target, and they are now, you know, pushing in that direction. So we ask them to put all the countermeasures in which to avoid it. But if it happens, you know, the police are there working. We give you assurance that we will bring those perpetrators to justice, but at the same time, make yourself a harder target, and that is what we are advising.
What's being done in terms of improving that response time? People still have challenges in 2023 that you call the station, you make a report, and no one shows up. Or in certain instances, they show up long after things have already happened. What's being done to improve those kinds of challenges?
You see, I'm not aware of any serious challenges in terms of the police response. But what I can tell you is that when there are multiple things happening at the same time, the police will have to give priority to the most serious and then come down. So you might find, okay, you'll find a crime in progress. The police may respond to that quicker than something that somebody now comes to report to say it happened about hours ago, right? So this is what you may find happening. They may take a little longer to get to that point. However, I am saying that there are systems in place that will ensure that response. And if you call the station direct and it doesn't get that kind of response, call the emergency lines. You know, a greater effort will be made in terms of dispatching the information throughout, so that vehicles close by or stations close by will respond, having, you know, once they get that that bulletin from the command center. So this is what I urge people to do: call the emergency lines when something is happening, so that you get a greater level of response when the information is shared.
All right, excellent. And we're going a little further now in terms of speaking about that positive influence on our young men. And I like to say this is ideally the softer side of the T.T.P.S. and really taking that proactive approach versus waiting to react. Tell us about strides in that area
It is
as the
indeed.
T.T.P.S.
It is indeed the softer side. What we have recognized over the past years and months, that our men in society are becoming what is it? We are almost becoming extinct. When you look at even the statistics, really murders, you will see how many men have been killed on a daily basis. We are killing out our own kind. What we also notice is that we realize a lot of young people now are gravitating to the gang culture. So what we are urging our men in society is to step forward and adopt your role as a positive influencer. Because we wondering why so much young people are gravitating, and not only men, we're seeing young girls who are gravitating to the gang leaders and so on. We are trying to, if we play a role by mentoring our youths, you know, I think that we'll mitigate against these issues or these circumstances where our young fellas are being, you know, recruited into the gang culture. And you know, we are urging our men to join groups that are positive, groups that could put that positive influence on our youths. And we are the police. What we have done, we have urged our station districts to adopt. We're starting at the school level. So to adopt a school in the district, and you will go and, you know, engage that school in terms of, you know, trying to have that influence, not only leave it up to the police, youth clubs and all these other institutions. You go personally, have that engagement with the young ones, you know, and try to be that positive role model in your district, so that, you know, that person growing up will see that and tend to, want to inculcate that positivity in their lives. So we have more to do, and not only the police. We are urging persons in society, even like yourself, you know, to use the forum that you are in which to encourage our young people, or young men especially, to move away from that. Because if we leave it to get out of hand, in the next 5 or so years, you will see, and if you look at what is happening now, you will see even within our T.T.P.S in Tobago, if you look at all these stations, you will see all but one is being run by females. And I'm not saying that I'm against the female,
Yes.
coming up or breaking the shattering the glass ceilings, as we see. But I want our men to look at what is happening so that we can also come up to that level as well. So this is where we are really with that concept. Is looking at the gang affiliation. We are looked at that. We are looking at how men, are just not, like, we just not getting it in terms of, that development, and positive influence among our youth. So this is why we are adopting that approach, really.
And I like the fact that you've mentioned that balance, because sometimes people misunderstand that we've come from a time where it might have been male dominated. And we've placed so much emphasis on, integrating and involving our women that they've now reached to the highest of heights in terms
Yes.
of commissioner of police and so on,
Yeah.
that we don't recognize that we kind of tilt the scale sometimes
Yes.
in the opposite direction. So it's really important to maintain that kind of balance so we see our young men and young women elevating and really protecting and serving. How do you ensure? One of the things I've always made the distinctions with, there are police and then there are police. And by that, I simply mean there are those who have that understanding that, I'm really there to seek out and to try to encourage and to ensure people comply with the law. But I also add that human touch because I'm dealing with people, protecting and serving. And then you have the flip side that just appears to be, hey, I just here to enforce. I don't want to hear nothing kind of approach. How do we treat with ensuring that we have more, especially in our community and a space like that of Tobago? Because I dare say, and in good faith and hopes, that we are not as extreme as some parts of the world to say that you're required to be that rigid right through. But really, you see the difference in the approach and the touch of some of those officers that add that kind of human component. I mean, before you get to the extreme in terms of really seeking to enforce, how do we get that into the minds, hearts, and souls of understanding that as part of the job description, it's not just about, hey, I become an officer, I now have the badge, I am the one in charge issuing the instructions.
Right. I understand. Well, it comes with training, it comes with experience. And this is why we are exposing our officers now to a lot of training. We are not there yet where we want to be, but this is why we have enforced that our officers attend training sessions. We have, so if you look at it, we are now in the 21st century where the paradigm has shifted and policing has changed over the period of years. And we can't be doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result. So this is why we have, engage in all these activities in terms of now training our persons and, so that we could engage the public differently, because we realize, just like how society, as we advance, society changes. And, people expect a different level of policing. So this is where we are trying to, go with the times and implement those changes. So this is why you're seeing that now that we are focusing on that softer approach as well. Not just the coming out there and we lock up everybody. No. Policing has changed and we have to go with the changes.
All right. Any other critical areas you'd like to share before we close this morning?
I just want to urge the Tobago public. We know that the Christmas time is upon us, and we are urging you to be, just heighten your awareness. The criminal elements are watching, and your intervention could cause something from not happening, or when it happens, could provoke a response to that, could bring that situation under control. So you, the public, we depend on you highly. And, we rest assured that we are there to work alongside with you. We are there to entertain your calls, and we are there to protect and serve you.
All right. You want to quickly just remind us of those, I know you referred to the emergency number, station, and so on.
Right. So we urge the public to dial 999, call 211, call 555. These are the major numbers that you can call. And when you call, you will get a command center that the person will take the information and dispatch it to where it needs to go. So, it tends to generate a quicker response. So when you do that, if you don't have the station numbers, call directly to those emergency numbers and you will get a quick response.
Excellent. All right. Thank you very much there, Rohdill, Kirk, Superintendent of the T.T.P.S, giving that reassurance and the confirmation in terms of the T.T.P.S continues to work on the outside there to protect and serve. And more importantly, also getting that touch in the community to really connect with persons. Because folks, whether we like it or not, just like arms of service within the government and the protective services, they can't do it alone. We've got to work together to ensure, particularly going into this season, ensure that you do your part. Make yourself a hard target and not an easy target for the criminals and persons out there, because just as you are working as hard to do things honestly, they are also in the business of probably not working as hard and trying to use not so good means. So we urge you to make the efforts, and if need be, you get to the extreme circumstances, use the emergency contacts in an effort to seek to get some kind of redress. I always like to give the simple indication. Try not to move out alone. Move in groups more than one. Simple things that we can do as part of it in terms of being able to respond to the challenges. And so once again, we want to say thank you very much for the T.T.P.S continuing to bring those updates to us, and to each and every one of you continuing to choose the Tobago Updates morning show. We say thank you. At this point, we're heading on out to a break, but we want to remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.